Okay, we're recording now. Okay, so again, this is an informational session on how to use the new rental feature in the MLS in your business. So we have the forms. They should be in .loop hopefully by the end of the day. The main thing is there is a totally different rental agreement, which I'm holding in my hand. The data entry part is very, very similar to what you would do in a normal listing. The difference is, and it actually would probably give you the option either or, it gives you the option to, when you put in what the co-op fee is, a percentage and or a flat fee, because everybody's going to be a little bit different. The whole concept of why we push so hard to get these get rentals on the MLS is just to be another value add and to your client and add that piece to your business. So I'm sure we've all had people say, hey, can you help me find a rental? And you've had to tell them no, or send them to Zillow or HotPads or something like that. You do not have to do that anymore. You also have probably had people say, hey, can you help me rent out my house? Well, in the past, it's been very hard. Now you can do that. The way the rules are written, you can actually have, so especially right now, if someone says, can you help me rent out my house? You can actually have it for sale and rent at the same time. They will have two different MLS numbers. So that's something that's new and a feature. The other part of it was to, if you have your own rentals, to be able to put your own rentals out there. This is something that is not going to completely rebuild your business and or be a top tier, but it is a good way to, if you're just getting started or you're looking for some extra income, to get a fee for that. What do you charge the client? That's up for discussion with the client. What you pay the other side, also up to discussion with the client. Rentals are a little different. I think you will see anywhere from, placement fee of a few $100 all the way up to a lot of people will do 1 month's rent as a fee. The other thing is, and which is where I think there's a lot of value, is the touch points you would continue to have with your clients. Again, you don't have to send them anywhere now. You can help them. You can be a resource for them. So you don't lose touch with them when they rent for a year and then decide to buy with your competitor or, their neighbor, whoever. So that is why it was created. I do not feel that we're going to see property managers utilizing this feature. It's going to be for plexes and under and our own personal rentals. And again, helping our clients that are looking to sell and or rent one-off houses. One of the main rules that I wanted to point out was condos, apartment style. The rule is one type of unit per floor. So if you've got a studio, a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, whatever, you can have a studio 1 floor, studio 2nd floor, studio 3rd floor. You cannot list absolutely every single unit in the building. That is against the rules. Another rule, and this actually came up. This is not a workaround for us to work with mobile homes. We cannot rent out stuff in a mobile home park. Even though, in actually that particular situation, they were not trying to rent out the mobile home, they were trying to rent out the land under the mobile home. That also, you cannot do that. So I want to point that out because someone tried that and they got taken down. Well, I'm trying to think of some of the questions that other people had about this. Well, I'm trying to think of the questions. Anyone in the room have a question or anyone online have questions? I want to make sure I address all of it. So either type or turn your mic on. Yes.
So,
hold on. I got to go back to the microphone.
Or you could repeat it.
Okay, I'll repeat it. That way people can still see me.
So if the income isn't a part, but we just wanted to give extended services, is there a way to coordinate that with Scott?
The question was, if the income is not a part of it, would the guys' agents be able to coordinate it with our property management company? Could, but my question would be, why would the income not be a part of it?
Well, I mean, because once you start in that, then you got to screen the tenants?
Great question. So he's saying why, once you get going down that road, you would have to get into screening the tenants. Actually, what we are going to be recommending is you are going to be providing placement services in these scenarios. So you're not necessarily acting as a property manager. You're just helping the people find a tenant. What I recommend is you educate your client to set up a free TransUnion SmartMove account. And then you would direct people to that to be able to, which would be your client, then to fill out the application and then get their background check done. You can actually check the box so that the tenant has to pay for it ahead of time, so it doesn't cost the client any money.
So that creates a firewall. How?
Between you and them,
Just your description of being a property manager versus.
all you're doing is providing information to your client. So the question was, how does that create your agency from being from an agent to a property manager? You are just directing, you're helping them do the marketing. And then from there, you would get the client to them and they have the link. They would fill that out. They would say yes or no, I want to use those people. And then you could, there's all sorts of rental stuff in as far as leases and stuff in Dotloop that you could help with, because that's plug and play.
Okay.
Once that's done, it would be set up so the rents were going directly and the deposits going directly to the owner. You would not be collecting and or touching that money.
Okay.
That's the differentiator between property management and not. Now, if your client didn't want to mess with it, absolutely kick them over to Scott at Max Property Management and he would take care of it. And you still would get your compensation based on however you negotiate. Other questions?
So are mobile homes completely out? We still don't touch those, or?
The question is, are mobile homes completely out? We don't touch those. That is correct. We don't touch those. Unless the only exception is if it is on a foundation on a parcel. So if it's an acreage sitting on a foundation, you can.
So if somebody had a rental in a mobile home park, for example, though?
Cannot do rentals in mobile home parks unless does not acknowledge mobile. Questions online? Anybody? Got quite a few people on there. There's got to be somebody with a question. No?
What question do you think we should ask?
What question do I think you should ask? I don't think there's any one question that I think you should ask. I think, again, just having the opportunity and the tools available to utilize this as another layer of business and communication. And, and I'm actually, since she's just came in the room, I'm gonna call Aisha out. So she had a client a couple of years ago that's a doctor that moved to town, and we didn't have this back then. So like her only option was to call other property management companies and see what they had available and direct them that way. In those scenarios, you don't get anything, but hopefully you stay in contact with them and someday you do sell them something. Now, now you have a resource. You don't have to kick them to someone else. And you can still utilize those other property management companies because most of them aren't going to do this. Because that's the other thing. To be on here, you have to be a member of the board, which not all property managers are. So the larger ones are, but you're not going to see Hubble put 100+ units on here. It's just not going to happen. Our property management probably will not use it because we have other platforms. Let's see, question. Brandy says, the TransUnion SmartMove is the online platform. You can set up a landlord account through there to be able to run the background checks, which is what I recommend people to do.
Are we using lock boxes for access?
Are we using lockboxes for access? Great question. Yes and no. It's like anything else. If you say that it has a lockbox on it, you have to have an MLS box out there. If you don't, and you put in the agent remarks, there is a code box, you can do that. But if you say yes, you have to have an MLS box out there. Other questions? So for those who jumped on after the fact, documents are done and hopefully will be in .loop by the end of the day. The data entry is pretty much the same as if you are filling stuff out to list the house. It's just the actual rental or the listing agreement itself is a little bit different. One thing I wanted to point out for concepts specific, the admin fee is a reduced one because rentals aren't as in depth as listings, but it does still take time and money. So the fee that concepts would get from this is $250 upon that time that it was leased out. So with that, again, in the one-off scenarios, and I'll just use an example, you have a client who's renting a house out for, say, $2,000. Chances are your fee in most cases is the same as 1 month's rent, so it'd be $2,000. If that was not added on top of the admin fee, would be $2,250. It would then come out of the $2,000. Or if you wrote it right, you could have the buyer pay it. Or I'm sorry, the tenant pay it. Audra, are you trying to ask a question? No? Oh, one. Making me dizzy. Other questions? No?
I got a question.
Wait, who's this? Oh, Zach's got one.
So if they're not using Scott Dennis and the tenant is paying rent, how do we ensure that us and Concepts gets paid once we get the tenant to them? Like, do we get that ahead of time or?
Well, yeah, actually everyone should have heard that question. How do you ensure you get paid? Yes, and I would hope that the owner of the house and you guys as agents, when the leases are signed, would collect the checks at that time and make sure that they're going to their proper locations. So yes, we have to do some agent stuff to guarantee that.
Yep, thank you.
Yes. Anyone else?
I have a question. So if they list what us, then can they still advertise it themselves or elsewhere?
The question is, if they still list with us, can they advertise it themselves or elsewhere? Yes, anybody can do that. But once it's signed, like anything else, no matter where that comes from, they pay whatever fee was determined.
Even if they find
That's what the paperwork says. Same thing, same concept if it was a buyer. Paperwork says doesn't matter where it comes from. Other questions? Okay, well, I'm sure you'll come up with some one-off questions and scenarios when you start getting into using this. If you have them, feel free to reach out. I believe everyone here knows I'm an open book and I will guide you to the best of my ability. So that is it. Thank you.